welcome back to the channel. Today's a bit of a random video. It's sort of like a semi Q&A. Just answering some questions. It's a video I should have done at 1K subscribers, but I kind of just forgot to. Answering a couple questions and, just low-key quick little discussion. I'm not too sure if I'll divide it into like two parts, because I do have a whole bunch of questions, but I think only like the first batch of questions are really good. The rest of them are like super random. So let's get to them. So first question is why you started making videos. So I can actually elaborate on this one, the why and the how. So initially I've always just been, a gamer since I think I mentioned this before in one of my video essays, since the days of the Sega Mega Drive in the 90s, and my big brother had one, so I was able to play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat from his Mega Drive, and then from then on he got a PlayStation 1, and then that's when I played Soul Calibur, FIFA 99, whole bunch of the PlayStation 1 era games, and like FIFA 2002, those types of games around about that time. So yeah, I've always been a gamer through him, and then onto the PlayStation 2 when I started playing games like Jak and Daxter, God of War, all sorts of games. But yeah, that's where my gaming journey initially began. And then what was that question again? Why I started making videos. So initially this YouTube channel was just always a VOD to store like my gameplay footage, because again on the PlayStation 4 that's when they introduced the share function. I think they had it on PlayStation 3, but I don't remember ever using it back in the PlayStation 3 era. But on PlayStation 4, so like just sharing screenshots, sharing just gameplay and like clips and stuff that I'd be sharing with the homies. I figured, might as well just share them. And then at the time I created, so originally I had a YouTube channel from like 2012, but that's like my main account. You've probably seen it like in my comments if I ever need to like add like a note or something for myself, my own YouTube channel. But this one, like I was saying, I opened it up just to store all the gameplay and the footage and everything like that in 2015, and then from then on it kept on building up. So I just have so many privated videos of just gameplay and playthroughs and all that stuff every time I played a game. And then around 2018 or 2019, after God of War, is when I figured, let me just start actually throwing it up. So I initially started throwing it up on Twitch, but then I was like, oh fuck, Twitch is more of like a live streaming kind of service. Doesn't really make sense, even though you can actually upload videos as VODs onto Twitch, but like no one really does that. So I was like, let me actually start publishing some of my stuff. So I think in 2020, that's when I made my Detroit Become Human playthrough public. I started making some of my Ghost Recon stuff public. I started making some of the FIFA stuff public. So yeah, that's essentially when this channel became active beyond just like holding all the gameplay, because it still has like, I've got gameplay and footage from like 2016, 2017, even Rainbow Six Siege. There's some clips I posted up from Siege from like 2015, 2016, and just random gameplay VODs and stuff from playthroughs and games that I played that I have, but I never really listed. I think the first time I started listing it was that Detroit Become Human, because that was the first one that I was able to record like properly without like random interruptions or my Wi-Fi cutting out, all that kind of thing. And then after that I did Uncharted. Then yeah, those were like the games that I left up, and then the first like actual game that I wanted to focus on at the time ended up being The Last of Us Part 2. So I remember The Last of Us Part 2 was launching, and then Ghost of Tsushima was launching right after. So I played those two back to back, and by then I'd like properly figured out how to get the gameplay recording nicely without it cutting to the 1 hour limit or my Wi-Fi being a bit of a bitch and disconnecting on me. So yeah, that's when I started just uploading the footage. So that's how I started making videos. Then the actual, I would say the different types of videos, is the main thing that I wanted to do was just always just to discuss gaming. So not necessarily in like a podcast format, but just upcoming news. So initially I started that with like the state of gaming when I was discussing the Game of the Year awards. We were discussing Ubisoft, discussing Red Dead Online, and then my video essays. Those are the actual, like those are the videos for me that I'm like super proud of on the channel, even though they don't even get that much views. I think it's like on 100 views or something like that. That's where I figured, you know what, because I love these games that I enjoy, I could just, you know, break them down and discuss the actual story, discuss like the plot, the impact of the game, the intention of the storytelling and the writing and that sort of thing, and basically again do a video essay just breaking down the game itself. So those are the main videos that I do on my channel, outside of just like the playthrough stuff, because the playthrough stuff is just like me recording myself actually playing the game, so that's not like special. There's like no effort or anything like that. The only thing that changed was I ended up getting a camera, so now you can actually see my visuals when I'm actually playing that stuff, but it's just like it's a playthrough. There's nothing unique or different or any editing that needs to be done, just like a straight up raw playthrough of gameplay. But yeah, my video essays is probably the thing that I'd say is the main driver of why I started being like, you know what, let me actually start discussing these things, because I do, not that I necessarily want to end up in the games industry, but because gaming has always been, you know, my passion and my hobby. I figured if I ever got out of like the current industries that I'm in, which is mainly like telecoms and stuff like that, it would kind of make sense to pivot into gaming. Because again, I always had I think I've told the story before, when I got an internship at EA in Burnaby, their Burnaby headquarters in Vancouver. But I turned it down because I wanted to do a Europe trip that year. And I might throw up some Europe trip pictures over my Red Dead poster if I ever get to it. But yeah, in editing, if I can find it while I'm editing. But yeah, so that's really what actually started pushing me to make my videos. And going forward, I would actually like to do a lot more video essays and stuff, but in the meantime right now I tend to just do playthroughs as just like fillers to keep the channel active, and then in between is when I'll do like my gaming discussion stuff, breaking down trailers, reactions, and then video essays is actually going to be the main focus once I'm able to, you know, figure out a formula and do them on a consistent basis. But yeah, and then yeah, my poster in the background. The famous Red Dead poster when they're walking up to the Braithwaite Manor. We got Arthur, and then I don't know who's on the left. I think it's Dutch. I don't remember if it's Dutch or John. And then I got the Last of Us Part 2 poster right behind. And then you can see Big Boy Atreus and Kratos up there on the God of War poster. I should have a Ghost of Tsushima poster right here, but it never came, and I never actually ended up getting any from that order. And then there's a Kendrick Lamar poster over here, and a J. Cole and Jay-Z, but those are up there. I'll throw up a picture again. There's my camera point. I'll throw up a picture there if I'm able to get it, but yeah. Let's move on to question 2, favorite moments in video games. So my favorite moments in video games, we could start with like recent games. I would say Red Dead Redemption 2. Again, referencing the Braithwaite Manor mission. When that whole scene when we're just walking up to Braithwaite Manor as the entire gang and Dutch is giving his monologue speech and stuff. That was like one of the super cool moments in Red Dead for me. Arthur dying isn't a favorite moment. That was more of like a powerful moment in gaming. If we go to The Last of Us Part 2, I would say my favorite moment in that game is probably when Jesse comes up and meets us in Hillcrest, and like he covers Ellie's mouth or whatever, and in that moment you're like panicking, thinking it's one of the NPCs or something like that, the wolves, but it's not, and it turns out to be Jesse, and then you end up fighting through the remaining wolves with Jesse and that whole Uncharted-esque sequence in the car. I'll try to throw up some footage up here or whatever in like a corner if I don't forget to edit that shit in. But yeah, that's also one of my favorite sequences. Then if we go to Ghost of Tsushima, the entrance when Jin fucking rides in on his horse after you've talked to Yuna and you're entering the open world for the first time after you've done the intro missions, that was hard as hell. Especially coming off the back of like the battle at the edge of the island on the beach. Oh, I think it was called Komoda Beach. Yeah, it should be Komoda Beach. Top notch. Then in The Last of Us itself, the first game, the early stages of the game, when you're just introduced to the whole zombie outbreak, that was like a big favorite moment for me. And other favorite moments, what are more memorable moments? Oh, Kratos. Any one of the God of War franchise. I could take the fight with Baldur, when they're tag teaming Baldur with Kratos and Atreus. If we go into the earlier God of Wars, the moment when he fucking ripped off that god's head and shit. There's so many moments. I could take, what else could I take? I have to think about this, you know? Recent games. Uncharted, the car chase sequence, that's another one. That's a big reference, but that's like a constant. Naughty Dog always does those whole cinematic things. Because even in Uncharted 2, they did the same. Fuck, I keep forgetting the cameras over there. What else? Jack and Daxter. I don't even remember if it was Jak 1 or Jak 2. One of the missions when you first get like the hover bike thing, that was a good moment for me. Yeah, I can't really think of many more that have actually been like super memorable to me. Detroit Become Human, you could reference that. I'm thinking when you actually figure out the Android Revolution thing, when you're Connor and Hank, that dynamic. So actually I'll pick two moments, because Connor, when you're in the Cyberlife warehouse and you have to decipher which one is the real Connor, fake Connor, that whole scene was super dope. And then the actual Hank scene when you go to his house and Hank is like fucking drunk off his ass and you meet Sumo for the first time. That was also one of my favorite gaming moments. And I think, yeah, that's probably about it. My favorite moments that I can think of off the top of my head. What are your favorite TV shows? So my favorite TV shows, I would say there's two main shows for me that are above and beyond all other shows, which is number one, Breaking Bad. Undisputed, undefeated. And number two, right next to it, is The Wire. Those are the two, for me, the greatest shows that I've ever watched. And I cannot compare them to any other TV show in the history of the TV shows that I've watched. But now if we're going on the rest of the list, so I'd have Breaking Bad up here, The Wire up here, and then we have a gap, and then we start having shows like Shameless US, House of Lies, Californication, 24, Archer, South Park, Family Guy, all of those shows. But for me, Breaking Bad. Oh, I forgot to list Entourage as well. Entourage was super dope. But for me, Breaking Bad, The Wire, everybody else. And then at the top of everybody else is Shameless and House of Lies. Those are my favorite shows. How many countries have you been to? Actual countries, I don't know. I would actually have to sit down and count. But I do know continents-wise, I've been to every continent except South America, essentially. Never been to South America, but every other South America and Australia. Look at my dumbass. Because Australia is a continent as well, so South America, Australia, those are two places I've never been. Everywhere else I've touched down in either one country, two countries, three countries, give or take, whatever the number. I'd actually have to sit down and count on my hands. Especially like Europe, because when I did the Euro trip in 2015, I traveled so many countries. I think I did like 12 countries in a month or something like that. One of them ones. Which sport do you like the most? Easy. Bora, football. soccer, whatever you want to call it, football. What is your biggest fear? It's a bit of a deep one. I don't even know if I can answer it with like a jokey answer or a more serious answer. My deepest fear? I don't know, to be fair. Deepest fear. I used to be like super afraid of like snakes and stuff. So like getting bitten by a snake, just any like lizard type thing that I would call a fear, but that's not like a deep rooted fear, such as like drowning as well. I'm super afraid of fucking drowning. I'm scared as hell of flying, even though I fly a lot. Well, like over the years I've flown a lot, but I'm always like super afraid that I'm gonna be on that flight, because we know like fucking the airline industry is probably the most flawless in terms of standards across the world, but you get like a crash here or there every year and that kind of thing. So I'm always afraid that I'm gonna be on one of those fucking flights. So yeah, but yeah, aside, and I'm always afraid of falling over the ocean, where you would fucking drown or whatever, rather than like crashing on land where you just immediately die. That's another one. Not to go too deep and grim in the video. We'll do for this video, we'll do one more, and then we'll part one it and cut it off. How long would you last on a deserted island? On a deserted island, depends how we get there first. Like, do we get deserted on the island? Do we just get left there as we are, or do we land there with like a little bit of resources, you know, like if you were to have like a boat crash or a plane crash and somehow survive, and then there's still stuff to pick up? I would give myself like 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks max. If I don't get rescued after 2 weeks, I'm fucking calling it quits. I think that's about it with me. I'm not that much of a fighter in like moments of struggle and adversity. Nah, I ain't with that shit. Like, I have to be able to visualize or see light at the end of the tunnel, or else I'm gonna fucking call it quits. So, deserted island, give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks with no resources. With resources, like if we're able to resources and like fucking find food and all that shit, give me a month tops, and then I'm done. Kaput. But yeah, we'll cut the video off here. We'll call this part one. You will see me back in part. Well, I'm not gonna film part two exactly now, because I'm gonna end this video, throw it up on the edit, and then I'll film part two once I'm done editing this part, and then you'll see that one come up, and we'll do the part two of this. But yeah, hope you enjoyed part one. Deuce.
Rebel soul child got a fist balled. I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up. I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless. Yeah, I got next up, right? No, we not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to